lengthen up. Pull your belly button to the spine. Tuck your tailbone under, shoulders down your back pockets. Remember that tight pair of jeans. So imagine you've got that tight pair of jeans and you want to zip up the tight pair of jeans. Naturally, you're lengthening up to the ceiling, pulling that belly button spine, tucking your tailbone under. Really sort of creates that anchor. Your muscles are like a corset around your spine. So we're just going to start some arm circles with the band. So we lengthen our arms over our head, squeezing our shoulder blades together, opening up our chest. My knees are hip width apart. So we're just opening up our chest, squeezing our shoulder blades together. Our arms come slightly behind us. Only if you want to, you can come up onto your tiptoes and to the soles of your feet. Focus on a point out in front. It just helps with your balance. Lengthen through the joints, keeping those arms nice and straight. Now, only if you want to, you can stay on your tiptoes, but pull the belly button to the spine and focus on a point out in front, because it really helps with your balance. Remember, it's total stability. You want to be completely still. Just one more. Really lengthen up, squeezing your shoulder blades together. Open up your chest and back to center. We're just going to roll it out. We're going to come up into our mountain. Only if you want to, if you don't wobble all over the place, you can glue your ankles together. If you want to progress, you can come up onto your tiptoes. So level 1, 2, 3. You choose the level that's good for you. Mountain, lengthen up, shoulders down your back pockets. I'm going to glue my legs together, just helps. It just challenges my stability. And palm your hands together, prayer. Shoulders down your back pockets. Your arms are in line with your ears, lengthen up, keep space between your ears and your shoulders, and back to mountain, lengthen up. I'm going to come up onto my tiptoes, don't want to wobble though, and back to prayer. Come down to the soles of your feet and lengthen over to your right, my left, and stick out to that left hip. Shoulders down my back pockets. I'm not squeezing my glutes, I'm not leaning forward or back. Squeeze your glutes, pull your belly button to the spine, and back to center. That protects your lumbar spine. And over to your left, stick out to that right hip, lengthen. I'm squeezing my glutes, pulling my belly button to the spine, feeling a deep stretch in my hips and my waist. And back to center. Remember, holding that. We'll do one more either side. Really lengthen, stick out that hip. If you're wobbling all over the place, increase your stance. Remember, holding that stretch will strengthen. So I'm not only stretching my hips and my waist, I'm strengthening those obliques, the muscles of my waist. Lengthen, lengthen, and back to center. Bring your arms down, just roll it out. Really squeeze your shoulder blades together and open up your chest. Now we're going to stretch our trapezius muscles, the muscles, huge muscles, the triangular muscles on either side of your spine. So you bring your left leg out in front. You choose the level that's good for you, whether you want to take a little bit of pressure out your toe or come into more of a hip flexor stretch, heron that's called, or lengthen out your leg. You choose the level that's good for you. Your arms are up to the ceiling. And I lengthen my left arm behind me. And lengthen back to center. Really squeezing your shoulder blades together. I'll show you in front. So I'm lengthening my arm behind me. One arm stays lengthened up to the ceiling. Now you can have that band as slack, as tight as you want. Don't forget, we're just warming up. Come to a level that's good for you. I'm going to turn this in, I'm going to float up my foot and really challenge my balance now. Open up, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Rotation of my upper spine only. I'm looking down at my hand and back to center. And then we'll do the other side. Take a little bit of pressure out your right leg. Lengthen your arms up to the ceiling. You choose the leg position, that's good for you, but it's all about stability. And I'm lengthening my arm behind me. My head looks at my hand. And back to center. Can you see one arm stays lengthened out and lengthened up to the ceiling? I'm going to see if I can come up to that. More of a hip flexor stretch. Total stability. Remember, you can always come up and down a level. I'm going to see if I can work my quads a bit here, the muscles in the front of my legs, squeezing my shoulder blades together. We're going to do one more. Oh, I'm coming down a level. And one more. Squeezing my shoulder blades together, lengthen that arm up to the ceiling. Really feel I'm warming up my trapezius muscles there. and just roll it out, and you can drop the band. We just flex our neck, so just dip your chin to your chest, rolling your head from side to side, dipping your chin to your chest. Really relax the muscles in your neck. And rolling from side to side. And back to center. We're just going to hinge forward now. So hold on to your hips. If you want to, you can lengthen your arms up to the ceiling. So you choose the level that's good for you. Your knees are hip width apart. You choose the level that's good for you. Lengthening your arms up to the ceiling, keeping your arms next to your ears or hold on to your hips. And you're going to stick out your bottom, little micro bend in the knees, and keep that back straight. Keep a nice straight back. Pull the belly button to the spine. Feeling a stretch in your hamstrings. So you come down to a level that's good for you. Like I said, you might come down to here, but come down to a level that's good for you. Some of you might lengthen your arms out in front, but that is more pressure on the lumbar spine. So you choose the level that's good for you. So I'm going to show you holding on to my hips, hinging forward, sticking out my bottom, headlights on my bottom, lengthening, pull my belly button spine. I'm being pulled by a piece of string, really sticking out that bottom, feeling a deep stretch in the muscles in the back of my legs. Come down to a point that's good to you and hinge back to center. Some of you might be doing that with straight arms. Some of you might even have weights in your hands, but you don't want pressure in the lumbar spine. Pull your belly button to the spine. I can feel that deep stretch in the muscles in the back of my legs and back to center, always pulling your belly button to the spine. One more. I'll show you with hands on my hips, sticking out my bottom, headlights coming out of my bottom. Feeling that deep stretch, feeling that sweet spot. So my sweet spot is here, feeling that nice deep stretch. Keeping a nice length and back, protecting my lumbar spine, pulling my belly button spine, hinging back to center. And then we just shake it out. Ooh, and squats, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do squats now. So our feet are still hip width apart. And you choose when we sit down whether you want to lengthen your arms out in front or up to the ceiling. We're going to hold it for 2 or 3 seconds. You might have weights in your hands. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're sitting into your seat. Push into your heels. Maybe float your toes up. So you really want to push into your heels. Some of you might increase your range of motion by lengthening your arms up to the ceiling or closer to the ceiling and back to center. Really feeling that in my quads. Then you're sitting into your seat. Some of you might come down by a few inches. Some of you might be able to come down a little bit deeper. Some of you might be able to get your arms slightly closer to the ceiling and back to center. Now I'm holding it for 2 to 3 seconds, but you can hold it for longer if you want to. Remember, sort of push your knees together. Don't let them flare out. Push your knees together. Push into your heels. Pull that belly button spine and keep that spine nice and straight. And back to center. We'll do a couple more. I'm going to see if I can get my arms up to the ceiling. Not up to the ceiling. A little bit closer to the ceiling. We're going to do one more. I really feel that in my quads. And you might come down by a few inches, a little bit deeper. Your arms might be lengthened out in front. They might be closer to the ceiling. Keeping that straight back. Protect your lumbar spine. And back to center. And we'll just shake that. So you should feel nice and warm now. And then we'll come down onto the mat. So as I always say, step forward. I don't always say, actually, that's the best way to get down onto the mat and come onto your hips. So we're just going to take a band. We're going to stretch our spine, but stretching our triceps, the muscles in the back of our arms at the same time. So I'm going to have a black band, but have the band as slack as tight as you want, and you wrap it around the arches of your feet. So a nice straight back, shoulders down my back pockets. Keep those feet nice and flexed. I lengthen up. Remember, we're going to hinge forward from the hips, elbows tucked into the rib cage. Have that band as slack as tight as you want. Mine's quite tight. And I'm being pulled by a piece of string, but I'm hinging from the hips. And the length is coming from the hips. So I feel a deep stretch in the muscles in the back of the legs. And I lengthen my arms behind me. You don't have to use a band for this one. You don't have to. You can use the weight of your arms. I'm being pulled by a piece of string. And the length, I'm lengthening from my hips. Elbows tucked into the rib cage, and you restack one vertebra at a time. Some of you might stay down there. So I'm holding it for 2 to 3 seconds, but you might want to hold it for 8 to 10 seconds. It's up to you. Have that band as slack as tight as you want. So I'm hinging forward from the hips, keeping a straight back, protecting my lumbar spine, flexing my feet. So the length comes from my hips. I hope you understand that. So I'm being pulled by a piece of string, but the length is coming from the hips. Elbows tucked into my rib cage. I lengthen my arms behind, holding it for 2 to 3 seconds, or stay there for as long as you want, really filling it in the triceps. As I said, if it's too much with the band, just use your arms, the weight of your arms, C-curve your spine and back to center. One more, we lengthen forward, straight back. Being pulled by a piece of string from the crown of the head, hinging from the hips. And the length is coming from the hips as I flex my feet, feeling that deep stretch in the muscles in the back of the legs, feeling I'm elongating my spine, elbows tucked into my rib cage. Lengthen my arms behind. So I'm elongating my spine, stretching the muscles in the back of my legs, but working the muscles in my arms too. Elbows tucked into your rib cage. C-curve that spine as you restack your spine 1 vertebra at a time. And back to center. Just shake it out. We're going to do one more regular spine stretch with a straight back. So we're lengthening our arms up to the ceiling, feeling a stretch in your triceps. And this time we're hinging from the hips again, keeping that straight back. Flex your feet. You're being pulled by a piece of string from the crown head, but feel the length coming from the hip joints. So I can really feel I'm stretching the muscles in the back of my legs, and I can really feel I'm stretching my spine there. And then restack your spine 1 vertebra at a time and back to center. So we're just going to slowly roll down now. So you choose whether you want the assistance of the band as we slowly roll down. Level 1, 2, or 3. Keep those elbows open. Some of you might have a little cheek cushion underneath your lumbar spine. So I'm going to start at level 2. Level 1, make sure your hands are in line with your shoulders. Open up your elbows, relax your feet and legs, pull the belly button to the spine. So we lean back by 1 inch, straight back, then I'm tapping in my pelvis, C-curve in my spine. Relax those feet, relax the legs, pull that belly button to the spine. Remember, some of you might have the assistance of the band, some of you might have a little cushion underneath your lumbar spine. Pull that belly button spine, squeeze the glutes, scoop the pelvis under. I want to turn my spine into a wheel, slowly, slowly, so you really feel you're using your deep core muscles. Pull the belly button to the spine, especially as you breathe out. You don't want to see your elbows. Keep the elbows open if you're at level 1, or 2, or 3. Relax the feet, slowly, slowly. If some of you find you're just falling down suddenly, put that little soft cushion underneath your lumbar spine. Helps you roll down slowly. I'm really feeling that in the core. Relax your feet. Oh, I can see my elbows uncheating. And then hug your knees to your chest and rock from side to side. Now, if you can cross your ankles and pull your knees apart, it just deepens the stretch in the muscles. It just deepens the stretch in your lumbar spine. Some of you might want to go a little bit further, lengthen your legs over your head like that. Stay on your shoulders. Some of you might want to come a little bit further, and can you see I'm lengthening my hands up to my feet there? A little bit of a deeper stretch from rock from side to side. Now keep on hugging your left leg, lengthen the right leg away, lengthen through the hip joint. Really relax the muscles, hug the knee to the chest. Bring the left knee slightly out to the side so your thigh skims your rib cage, and lengthen through the hip joint. Really relax that foot. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Feel that deep stretch in your hamstrings, but also your glutes as well. Hold on to your hamstring, calf muscle, your ankle, not the back of your knee. Push into your heel. So I've lengthened that leg up to the ceiling, and I circle my ankle one way, and then the other. Keep on lengthening through that right leg. So you might have a smaller range of motion here, that's okay. But you just, as long as you can feel the sweet spot. My sweet spot is here, and I start to push into my heel and circle my ankle. Bend your knee, lengthen it away, and bring up the opposite knee. So I'm lengthening, relaxing the muscles, and lengthening through the hip joint as I hug my knee to my chest, really relaxing, feeling a stretch in my glutes, bringing my right knee slightly out to the side, so my thigh skims my rib cage, feeling a deep stretch in my hip flexors. Hold on to your hamstring, calf muscle, your ankle, lengthen your leg up to the ceiling, or to a point that's good for you. Always pulling that belly button to the spine. Start circling one way, and then the other, hugging that lengthened leg to the chest. Bring the knee to tabletop, horizontal lunge. Tee your arms with or without weights. Keep those shoulders on the mat. and you bring your knee across your body. Again, if your knee stops here, it's rotation of our spine, that's okay, but just come to your sweet spot. Mine's just a little bit deeper. Remember, I do this day in, day out. If you can look in the opposite direction, if you want to progress, don't do it if you get pressure in the lumbar spine. You can lengthen your leg away. Really lengthen through the shoulder joints, lengthen through the hip joint, but you don't want pressure in the lumbar spine. Keep the knee bent if you get pressure in the lumbar spine. Take a breath in as you breathe out. Relax the muscles in the leg and bring that extended leg or bent knee back to center. Relax the foot because it comes from the core. Pull your belly button into the spine. Melt your rib cage into the mat and come to bring up your opposite knee. Horizontal alignment. Bring your knee across your body. Come to your sweet spot. Don't forget, I'm being strict today. You can put a little bit of pressure on your knee if you want to deepen that stretch. You don't want any pressure in the lumbar spine. You can lengthen that leg away, lengthen through the hip joints, lengthen through the shoulder joints. You're looking in the opposite direction. And bring the extended leg or bent knee back center using your deep core muscles because you've switched off the muscles in your legs. And then hug your knees to your chest and rock from side to side, hugging your knees to your chest. Now we're just going to do the one leg stretch. So you're going to hug your knees to your chest and you're going to lengthen your left leg up to the ceiling. Remember, pull your belly button to spine, always pulling your belly button to spine, thinking about melting that rib cage into the mat. Single leg stretch, left hand on left ankle, right hand on my left knee. So I'm lengthening my leg up to the ceiling, my right leg, and then I swap over. Right hand on my right ankle. And it's just single leg stretch. So I'm lengthening through the hip joints. Lengthen, lengthen, hugging my knees to my chest. Now, the closer my legs are to the mat, the more I'm going to challenge my core, but you don't want any pressure in the lumbar spine. So I'm lengthening, lengthening, holding it for 2 to 3 seconds. Lengthen, lengthen. So I'm going to start lowering my legs now. Lengthen through the hip joint. Pull your belly button to the spine. Lengthen, lengthen. So my left hand on left ankle. Hug my knee to my chest. Lengthen through the hip joint. Some of you might be able to come quite low like this. If you get pressure in the lumbar spine, just lengthen your legs up to the ceiling and just decrease that range of motion. It doesn't matter if your legs aren't straight. Now, if you want to progress, can you see I've lengthened my arms down my sides. I've floated my hands, my palms are up to the ceiling, and I'm still hugging my knee to my chest, but it just challenged my core a little bit more. Palms up to the ceiling, and I've floated my hands off the mat. Pull the belly button spine, melt the rib cage into the mat. If you want to come a little bit further, you lengthen and lift that head off the mat. Hugging my knees to my chest. I can really feel that in my deep core muscles. Pulling my belly button spine. And see if I can hold it for 2, 1. Really trying to split those legs apart. Always, if you feel like you're getting tired, I'm getting tired. So I'm going to come down a level and just hug my knees to my chest. My legs are going to come closer to the ceiling. So you choose the level that's good for you. We'll just do a couple more. I'm just going to come up a level now, lowering my legs slightly closer to the floor. And I lengthen and lift my head and shoulders. So you can always come up and down a level, pull your belly button spine. This is going to be the final 2 and 1. And then hug your knees to your chest and rock from side to side. If you can cross your ankles, pulling your knees apart, just deepens the stretch. Some of you might come a little bit further or even further still, lengthening and lifting your head and shoulders off the mat, doing a little bit of core work at the same time. If you grab your ball, put the ball between your knees, tee your arms with or without weights, and squeeze that ball. So if you want to deepen the stretch and work your core a little bit more, bring your knees up to tabletop. If not, keep the soles of your feet on the floor and squeeze that ball, squeeze, squeeze. Already I can feel, pull the belly button spine, melt the rib cage into the mat, and keep on squeezing that ball. Not only am I working my inner thighs there, that is burning my core already. Hardly any pressure under the soles of my feet. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Deeper stretch. Work your core a little bit harder, up to tabletop. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. As we drop our knees to the left, look to the right. Remember, I'm at level 2 here. Keep the soles of your feet on the floor. Squeeze the ball and then lengthen out your top leg. So you might just come to 45 degrees. You might come a little bit deeper. So lengthen that leg away. Look in the opposite direction. Lengthen through your shoulder joints. Keep on squeezing the ball. Bend your knees. Squeeze the ball. Pull your belly button spine. Relax those feet. Squeeze the ball. Bring your knee back center over to the right. Come to the point. That's good for you. You don't want pressure on the lumbar spine. Squeeze the ball. Look in the opposite direction. Lengthen the top leg away. Lengthen through the hip joint. Squeezing the ball. Squeeze that ball. Bend the knee. Squeeze the ball. I can feel that really in my deep core muscles. Some of you might have the soles of your feet on the mat. As we drop our knees to the left again, squeeze the ball. Really relax the foot as you lengthen out the leg, but squeeze. So I feel a lovely deep stretch down my lateral side. I can feel I'm working my deep core muscles. Squeeze the ball. So you bend your knee, hardly any pressure under the soles of your feet. Squeeze the ball back to center and over to the right, look to the left, and you lengthen out that top leg, squeezing the ball. Lengthen your arms through the shoulder joints. Bend your knees, squeeze the ball back to center, squeeze, 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 and then hug your knees to your chest and rock from side to side. So that's a lovely deep stretch, but we're really working our deep core muscles at the same time. We're going to go into, what's the next one I'm going to do? Is hip opener. So you choose whether you want a loop band around your thighs, and you choose the arm position that's good for you, with or without weights. Pull your belly button spine, melt your rib cage into the mat, little mouse hole. So I've got hardly any pressure under the soles of my feet. So you choose whether you want to lengthen your arms just out to the side at T. You know how it works. You lengthen your arms up to the ceiling, level 2, or over your head, or finally lengthen and lift your head and shoulders. You choose the level that's good for you. Now I'm starting with my soles of my feet on the mat, but some of you might want to come straight into tabletop and do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to drop my knee to the left, holding it for 2 to 3 seconds. My hip joint is moving independently of my pelvis. My pelvis stays horizontal and back center. Hardly any pressure under the soles of my feet. Pulling my belly button to the spine. Dropping my right knee to the side. Hardly any pressure under the soles of my feet. You can do this at tabletop too. And back to center, holding it for 2 to 3 seconds. And I'm dropping my left knee to the side. Pelvis doesn't move. I'm balancing that bowl of soup. I'm on grains of sand, they're not moving, total stability. Now, if you want to progress, you can carry on opening and closing your knees, but if you want to progress, you can lengthen out that leg, switch off the muscles in the foot, in the leg and the foot, lengthen through the hip joint. And you come around the saucer one way and around the saucer in the opposite direction. Bend your knee, don't move your thigh, and back to center. So I'm dropping my right knee out to the side, holding it for 2 to 3 seconds. My thigh doesn't move at all as I lengthen out my legs. Really relax that foot. Lengthen through the hip joints. Around the saucer one way, around the saucer in the opposite direction. Pull the belly button spine, melt the rib cage into the mat. Really create that anchor in your deep core muscles. And back to center. All of this can be done at tabletop. Choose the arm position that's good for you. So you can just drop your knee to the side, to the left and right, holding it for 2 to 3 seconds. Relax those feet. Or at tabletop, same as when your soles of the feet are on the floor, you lengthen out that leg, relax that foot, and you come round the saucer one way and round the saucer in the opposite direction. You choose the arm position that's good for you. So drop your knee. I'm taking on tension in my balance, pull the belly button spine. I'm balancing a bowl of soup on my pelvis, lengthening out that leg. Really lengthening through the hip joint. And remember, when you come around the saucer, all the movements from the hip joint. You're not moving your foot, you're not moving your knee. I'll just show you. You can see my thighs don't move. I'm not doing that with my foot. I'm hinging from the hip joint. All the movement comes from my hip joint. We'll do one more. So remember, you choose the arm position that's good for you. That's really burning my deep core muscles at the moment. And I can really feel it in my quads, especially as I lengthen out my leg and I've totally relaxed the muscles of my leg because it's all coming from the hip joint. And back to center, then hug your knees to your chest and rock from side to side. Some of you might come a little bit deeper. And then once you've hugged your knee to your chest, can you do a full body stretch? Pulling your belly button spine, melting the rib cage into the mat. Lengthen, lengthen. And we come straight onto our sides. I've got another core exercise to do in supine, but I'll see if I've got enough time at the end of the lesson. And over to the side. So we're going to start doing our side exercise, which is, if some of you did it the other day, we're hugging our knee to the chest and lengthening out our leg. So actually, we're not going to use a band for this one. So now you choose the position that's good for you. So I'm lengthening my top leg away, my hips are stacked, my knees are stacked, shoulders down my back pockets. You choose the arm position that's good for you. You know how it works. Now, you can either stay in between that double glazing, so I'm in between two panes of glass, or you might want to lengthen your bottom leg slightly out in front for stability. And we're going to lengthen and lift our top leg, relax that foot, lengthen through the hip joint, and we're hugging our knee to our chest and lengthening out our leg, pushing into our heel. Hug your knee to your chest and lengthen out the leg as high as it can go, pushing into your heel. Now, if it's too uncomfortable to push into your heel, just relax your foot and lengthen through the hip joint. So I'm hugging my knee to my chest and pushing through my heel. If it's too uncomfortable, just relax that foot and lengthen through the hip joint. So I can really feel that in my glutes. Lengthen and lift as high as you can. Or push into the heel. Hug my knee to my chest. And flex, pushing into my heel. Lengthen and lift that leg as high as it can go. So I've got it's amazing, just by having 0.5s around my ankles, I can really feel that. Pushing into my heel, hug your knee to your chest. Now, if you want to progress, I forgot to say this the other day, pushing into your heel, and you're going to come around the saucer one way and around the saucer in the opposite direction. You might want to come around the saucer a few more times, it's up to you. Remember, this is a progression. Round the saucer one way, slow and controlled. All the movement comes from the hip joint, don't forget. So I'm going to come up a level now. And now I'm totally in two panes of glass. My leg is not even lengthened out in front. Now that's really burning my glutes. Got to come around the saucer one way and around the saucer in the opposite direction. Hugging my knee to my chest. Look at that pelvis. That pelvis stays completely vertical. Pushing onto my heel. Around the saucer one way, around the saucer in the opposite direction. Hugging my knee to my chest. Whatever position you're in, shoulders down your back pockets, chest out to the sun. Hugging my knee to my chest, push it into my heel, or relax that foot if it's too uncomfortable. Pelvis doesn't move. Main trunk of my body is not moving. If you find you're wobbling all over the place, bring that bottom leg slightly out in front a little bit more. Hugging my knee to my chest, pushing into my heel. Oh, my glutes are burning now. Around the saucer one way, around the saucer in the opposite direction. We'll just do a couple more. Hug your knee to your chest. Lengthen out, lengthen and lift. I'm in between two panes of glass, the top of my body, around the saucer one way and around the saucer in the opposite direction. One more. Hug my knee to my chest, push into my heel, chest out to the sun. My legs getting lower because my glutes are burning now, and my thighs. Hug my knee to my chest and then just pat it out. Really pat it out. We're going to go straight into open book with that increased range of motion. But some of you might want to go into your kneeling open book. So you know how it works, with or without the weights or a band, or both. Make sure your hips are stacked, your shoulders are stacked. You lengthen and lift that leg, relax to hip height. And you rotation of your upper spine, keeping that pelvis open. And you open up your books. So you do that whilst the rest of us are going to open our books, our classic open book. So you can use a band or a weight or both or nothing at all. Also, you choose whether you want that band slack or tight. So I have mine quite tight. So I like to talk to myself. So bend your knees in front. Remember the shins are in line with the edge of the mat. And you lengthen and lift that top leg diagonally across. Now, as we open up our book and close, we're going to swing our leg behind. I'll take you through it. But if that's too uncomfortable, just rest your leg diagonally across. And we'll just do regular open book. If you really find it too uncomfortable to swing that leg, or you want to rest. So my arms are in front, palm to palm. I'm going to lengthen and lift that leg. Relax the foot diagonally across. And I lengthen my top arm longer than my bottom. Remember, you don't have to use any equipment. Lengthen through the hip joint. If it's too much for your leg, just keep it lengthened and just keep it lengthened and rested. So I open up my book, lengthen through the joints, all the joints. And as I close my book, lengthen, lengthen, I swing my leg behind me. Keep it lengthened. Keep it lengthened. I lengthen the lift, relax the foot, lengthen through the hip joint. You're going to hold it for a couple of seconds. And then you, with control, slow and controlled, you swing it in front. You open up your book. Head follows your hand. Rotation of your upper spine, my pelvis is vertical. Now this is where I'm going to increase my range of motion. My leg comes directly in front of me. I'm going to see if I can get it a little bit higher. So I'm lengthening my arms away from each other. I can feel the stretch in my hamstrings, my glutes and my lumbar spine. And I can really feel holding that stretch. I'm really working out those glutes, hamstrings and the muscles in my back. And I close my book, always lengthening. Swing that leg behind with control. Relax. I'm opening my hip flexors, really feeling it in the glutes. And I close and open my book as I swing with control my leg in front. I'm going to increase my range of motion. So if your leg stays diagonally across, that's great. That's where your sweet spot is. Or it might come in front, or it may be over the week, so you've been able to increase your range of motion. I definitely have. Lengthen, lengthen through the joints. Pull the belly button spine. As I'm closing my book there, taking on tension band, I can really feel that in my waist. Keep that head on the block. Don't lift your head off the block. It's really important your head is on the block, so you don't want to hurt your neck. This is going to be the final one. I'm increasing my range of motion. Pull the belly button to the spine. Holding it for a couple of seconds. This is final one. Lengthen, lengthen. Swing that leg behind. Holding it. And bend your knee and just pat it out. Now we're going to go straight into our bridge. So if you remove your block, so you can either have weights in your hands when you do the bridge, or you can have the band tight over your hips when we come up into the bridge, or nothing at all. So you choose the level that's good for you. And we're going to do classic bridge today, which is the classic bridge. We'll be bringing your knee up to tabletop. Then we lengthen our arms over our head and bring your knee up to tabletop. Or remember, you can progress with the leg extension, but it's all about keeping that perfect alignment. Now, if that's too uncomfortable, remember, do 4 steps instead. Then you lengthen your arms either over your head, if that's too much, lengthen your arms up to the ceiling, and you can just do 4 little steps. As you tuck in your pelvis, C-curve your spine. So you choose a level that's good for you, but I'll take you through it. So the band is tight around our hips. You're going to push into your heels, firing up the glutes. Squeeze the glutes. I'm taking on tension of the band here, so I'm doing a little bit more upper body work, feeling that in the glutes. Only if you want to, you can come onto your tiptoes. That is a progression though. If you get cramped, don't come onto your tiptoes. Now bringing one knee up to tabletop, relaxing my leg. Maintaining that perfect alignment, bring another knee up to tabletop. Some of you might be coming a bit further with the leg extension to hip height, soft point up. So you choose the level that's good for you. Then I lengthen my arms either up to the ceiling. If you can get them over your head, great. Lengthening your knees and arms away from each other. Don't drop your bottom or rock your hips. Maintain that perfect alignment. Lengthen your knees and arms away from each other. Pull the band apart if you've got the band. Bring that knee up to tabletop. If this is too uncomfortable to bring your knee up to tabletop, just do 4 little steps. Or some of you might be going further, doing the leg extension. Then tucking your pelvis, C-curve your spine. Keep your arms lengthened over your head. So you slowly roll down 1 vertebra at a time. Try to hit every single vertebra onto the mat. Your hands come up to the ceiling. Either come back to center and start those bridges again, or you might come into a crunch. Holding onto your hamstrings for support, or you might even be able to lengthen your arms out to the ceiling. Oh, don't wobble like me. If you're wobbling, hold onto your hamstrings and see if you can lengthen your legs up to the ceiling. Chest out to the sun, nice straight back. If you could come a little further, try to lengthen your arms up to the ceiling. I'm wobbling all over the place today. Back to boat. and slowly, slowly roll down. Some of you might not come up to this level, you're just doing your classic bridge. So I'm going to do the classic bridge again, with or without the equipment. So I'm pushing into my heels. I can really feel I'm firing up my glutes. Squeeze your glutes. Stay on your tiptoes, stay on your soles, your feet. If you want to progress, come up to your tiptoes. If it's too uncomfortable, remember, just do those 4 steps. Or you either do your knee up to tabletop, total stability of the main trunk of your body, or some of you might be able to progress a little bit further with that leg extension. But don't rock your hips. You must maintain that complete alignment. Lengthen your arms and knees away from each other. Here is quite difficult. If it's too uncomfortable, you can keep your arms lengthened up to the ceiling. The aim is to lengthen them over your head. And you might just do 4 steps here if it's a bit too tricky to do your tabletop or your leg extension. Total stability. Then we tuck in our pelvis. I'm really trying to scoop my pelvis because lengthen my arms over my head. I would like every single vertebrae to hit the mat from top to bottom. You either come into your crunch, start with another bridge, or you come into your crunch, holding on to your hamstrings, coming up into your boat, or you might come to the next level and lengthen your arms out to the ceiling. Try to keep that straight back, chest out to the sun. Teaser, lengthen your arms up to the ceiling as you lengthen up your legs. Oh, I'm a bit wobbly today. And back to boat and slowly roll down. Finish off your last bridge for those who are not doing the boat or the teaser. Slowly, slowly, slowly roll down. Slowly, slowly, really feeling it in the deep core muscles. Then hug your knees to your chest. Cross your ankles if you can, pulling your knees apart. Or some of you might lengthen your legs over your head, stay on your shoulders. Or you might come a little bit further and lengthen and lift your head and shoulders, doing a little bit more core work. Then full body stretch. Pull your belly button spine, melt the rib cage into the mat. When you finish your full body stretch, we'll roll over to the side and we will go straight on to the other side when we're doing flexing and pointing. And for some of you, you might want to do your open book, your kneeling open book, with or without a weight or a band or both. So always make sure you're stacked over your hips and your shoulders. The aim is to keep that leg up to hip height. If it drops, is okay, but the aim is hip height. And rotation of your upper spine, but my pelvis stays completely vertical as you open and close. So the rest of us, we don't need any bands for this one. You're in between that double glazing. You choose the arm position that's good for you. Now, if you're wobbling all over the place, you can slightly lengthen your bottom leg out in front. Make sure your hips are stacked. Lengthen that top leg away. So we're going to hug our knee to our chest. And if you can, push into your heel. Lengthen and lift as high as you can, pushing into your heel. If that's too uncomfortable, relax the foot because it comes from the hip joint. So when we push into our heel, you still want to lengthen through the hip joint. If it's too uncomfortable, keep that foot relaxed. Hugging my knee to my chest, lengthening out. Pelvis doesn't move. Total stability of the main trunk of my body. Lengthen and lift as high as I can go. Pull the belly button spine. I'm going to bring my bottom leg in line with my top now. So I'm totally in two panes glass. It's all about stability. The only thing that's moving is my leg and my hip joint. It's all about stability. Glutes are burning now. Now, if you want to progress, hug my knee to my chest. Lengthen out that leg, either push into the heel. If it feels uncomfortable, relax that foot. I'm coming around the saucer one way and around the saucer in the opposite direction. I was swinging a bit there. It's all about that stability. Try to keep total stability. Hugging my knee to my chest. Lengthening and lifting through the hip joint. Come around the saucer one way, around the saucer in the opposite direction. Hugging my knee to my chest. My glutes are burning now, and I'm going to torture myself a little bit more. It will decrease your range of motion. And I'm coming up. Oh, that's really burning. Lengthen and lift. Round the saucer one way. Round the saucer in the opposite direction. Total stability. Lift up that waist. Shoulders down your back pockets. Chest out to the sun. Or I can come to the next level. You choose the level that's good for you. By lying on my side, I really felt it on my glutes. Now, this is extremely difficult. Around the saucer, I've got to come around the saucer. Shoulders down my back pockets, chest out to the sun, really feeling the burn in my glutes and my thighs lengthen, either pushing into your heel, coming around the saucer one way, around the saucer in the opposite direction. Remember, you don't have to do the saucer. The saucer is a progression. We're just going to do one more, hugging my knee to my chest, lengthening out, lengthen around the saucer. One way, around the saucer the other, hugging my knee to my chest. And then, just pat it out. And we go straight, I've been completely silly. I told you to do open book. Hopefully you understand I got it completely wrong. I told you to do your kneeling open book for that, for the last exercise. This is when you do kneeling open book. If you actually listened to me and did kneeling open book, can you do your hug your knee to your chest and lengthen out your leg? Hopefully you just completely ignored me. Sorry about that. Normally somebody would be shouting out, but obviously I'm just here in silence. Right, I've bent my knees in front, my shins are in line with the edge of the mat, and you lengthen and lift that top leg diagonally across, with or without a weight or a band or both. And I lengthen my top leg diagonally across. Now, if it's too much to swing that leg, just keep it diagonally across, lengthen diagonally across, so you still feel a lovely deep stretch. By lengthening and lifting, I feel I'm burning my glutes there, really working my glutes and working my thighs. I lengthen my top arm along my bottom, and I open up my book. Lengthen your arms away from each other, rotation of my upper spine. I'm looking at my pelvis, and my pelvis stays completely vertical. And as I close my book, lengthen, lengthen. Remember, some of you don't have to do this with your leg. Lengthen, lengthen. I swing my leg behind, and I lengthen and lift it behind me. Always pulling the belly button to the spine. I can feel I'm opening up my hip flexors, feeling it in the glutes. See if you can hold it for a couple of seconds. Open my book. Now this is where I increase my range of motion. My leg comes in front. I'm going to see if I can get it a little bit higher. Lengthen through the joints, all the joints. So I'm holding that stretch. So I'm really stretching my hamstrings, glutes, lumbar spine, but holding that stretch, I'm really creating strength as well. And remember, lengthen and lift behind you. Relax that foot, lengthen through the hip joint, pull your belly button spine, opening my hip flexor, really feeling it in my glutes as well. Slow and controlled, I'm going to increase my range of motion. Oh, I can really feel that in the glutes and the hamstrings, and I can feel the lovely stretch. Lengthen and lift behind, relax that foot. One more. Head follows my hand, keep that head on the block. So if your range of motion is just diagonally across and front, that's great. You hit that sweet spot. And then you close your book. Let's one more, swing our leg behind us. So we're going to hold it, lengthen and lift. And then you bend your knee and just pat it out. And we're going to go straight into prone now, which is only if you want to. I've got ankle weights on, but you can put a loop band around your ankles only if you want to. You can have little weights in your hand, or you can have the loop band, the resistance band in your hand. I'm not going to do anything because I've got weights around my ankles, my wrist. And we're going to do the classic swimming. So our legs are at a soft V and my arms are at a soft V. Now, if that's really uncomfortable on your ribs, you can do the classic diamond, where you lengthen and lift your head and sternum and you salute one hand at a time, and you might want to incorporate the leg if that's too uncomfortable. And remember, if it is uncomfortable around your ribs, you can just put a cushion underneath your ribs, or if you get a little bit of pressure in the lumbar spine, you can put the cushion under your pelvis. So it's, instead of your back really arching, it flattens your back a little bit more, and it just takes pressure away from your lumbar spine. So, okay, we're all at soft V, our legs are out in front. Sorry, that they're not out in front, our arms are out in front, soft V. My feet are match width apart. Push your pubic bone into the mat, pull your belly button to the spine. So I'm going to take you through the progressions. Roll the marble forward. We relax your arms. You lengthen and lift your head and sternum, but feel the muscles in your upper back doing the work. I don't have very much pressure in my hands. Lengthen and lift. Look down in the mirror. Push into your pubic bone. Pull your belly button to spine and back to centre. Now, if that move feels good for you, stay at that level. If you want to progress, you roll the marble forward. Look down at the mat, down in the mirror. Lengthen and lift your head and sternum. And we lengthen and lift one arm, and only if you want to, you can incorporate the opposite leg. Lengthen through the joints. Hip joints stay glued to the mat. Lengthen, lengthen, relax the foot and hand, and lengthen through the joints. So I can really feel it in the muscles in my upper back and my glutes, and back to centre. I lengthen and lift my head and sternum. Lengthen and lift an arm, and if you want to, you can incorporate the leg. Pull the belly button spine. Push your pubic bone into the mat, and back to centre. Just lengthening, lifting. See if you can hold it for 2 to 3 seconds up there. I'm trying to touch something with my hands, something with my toe. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Firing up the glutes and the muscles in my upper back. Now, if you want to progress, you do double leg lift, double arm lift. Pull the belly button spine, push the pubic bone into the mat. Lengthen, lengthen, hold it for a couple of seconds, and back to centre. If you want to come further, double arm lift. And this is where you start doing little pulses. And it's your own personal challenge now. Doing little pulses, and you stay there for as long as you can. Pull your belly button to the spine. Push your pubic bone into the mat. And then you come down and rest. Then you lengthen and lift once you've rested. And it's your own personal challenge. Little pulses. But I'm still lengthening through all the joints. Relax my hands, my feet. And then I rest. Remember, you can always come up and down a level. So I'm getting tired, so I'm just going to lengthen and lift, opposite arm and leg, holding it for 2 to 3 seconds and back to centre. You don't even have to incorporate the leg. Pull the belly button spine, push the pubic bone into the mat, takes pressure away from your lumbar spine. Some of you might have weights in your hand, or loop bands around your ankles, and a resistance band in your hand. So you just choose the level that's good for you. We're just going to do the final one either side, or the final 2 double. You're going to do 2 doubles, or you can do your final pulse. Pull the belly button spine, push your pubic bone into the mat. Remember, if you get pressure in the lumbar spine, don't forget that little soft cushion or piece of foam underneath your pelvis. And everyone back to centre. Rock your hips from side to side, just releasing any tension you hold in the lumbar spine. Rocking from side to side. Now, everyone's arms are at capital E. So my elbows are in line with my shoulders. And we're going to do our cobra prep to our lizard to our full cobra. So my legs are still at that soft V. Push your pubic bone into the mat. My legs are at capital, my arms are at capital E. Now I'm going to roll the marble forward, keeping my elbows on the mat. I lengthen and lift my head and sternum, shoulders down and back pockets. Now, the other day I said, imagine you're pulling your elbows back, but they don't actually move. It helps you extend your spine. Chest out to the sun, shoulders down your back pockets. So I feel like I'm really pulling my elbows back, but they don't move. It just helps me get my chest out to the sun, extending my spine a little bit more. Shoulders down your back pockets and lengthen, lengthen back to centre. Now we're going to turn it into lizard. I'll roll the marble forward. Chest out to the sun, shoulders down my back pockets. Try to keep that orange underneath your chin. I'm pushing into my elbows as I try to get my chest out to the sun. Now I'm pushing into my left hand, looking over my left shoulder, push into my left hip, really rotate that upper spine. Right elbow glued to the mat. Really look over your left shoulder. Hips stay glued to the mat and lengthen, lengthen back to centre. We'll do the other side. Roll the marble forward, lengthen and lift your head and sternum. Shoulders down your back pockets. Now I feel like I'm pushing my elbows back to help me extend my spine. Push into my right hand. Look over my right shoulder. Push into my right hip. Left elbow glued to mat. Really look over that shoulder. Pull the belly button to the spine and lengthen back to centre. Now, either stay at that capital E. If you want a deep spinal extension, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, elbows tucked into your rib cage. We're going to roll the marble forward, chest out to the sun, shoulders down your back pockets. And now we're pushing into our hands. If your elbows don't come off the mat, it really doesn't matter. So if your elbows don't come off the mat, pull those elbows back again. So you're trying to extend your spine. If you want a deeper spinal extension, your hands are underneath your shoulders, elbows tucked into your rib cage. Relax the bottom of your body, pull your belly button to the spine. If you keep those hip joints on the mat. If your hip joints come off the mat, come down into that cobra. And lengthen back to center. Everyone puts their hands underneath their shoulders and come into 4-point kneeling. And for a cat stretch, I know, Christina, you're okay for the cat stretch. So dip your chin to your chest. Everyone knows their cat stretch. If you carry on with the cat stretch, Christina, I'm going to show you. You're going to lift opposite leg and arm off the mat as we do our 4-point kneeling. Can you see? You might have a little weight in your hand, lengthen and lift. Or what you can do double. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. So it's more the dart. So opposite leg and arm. Everyone come down into their cow. Sticking out the bottom, pull your belly button to the spine, squeezing a tennis ball between your shoulder blades. And another cat stretch. Pull your belly button to the spine, squeeze your glutes. Push into your palms. Really rounding that spine. And one more, stick out your bottom. Squeeze a tennis ball between your shoulder blades and back to 4-point kneeling. Christina, you come back into prone and you lengthen and lift opposite arm and leg, but your arm's going to be behind you. Now for our prone exercise, we're going to do the shark fin with or without little weights or a band. So you choose what's comfortable for you. I actually quite like the band, but some of you might want a weight in your hands. So we're stacked. Pull your belly button spine. Make sure your shoulders are stacked over your bases of the palms of your hand and your hips are stacked over your knees, so your hip width apart. Now you can incorporate a leg if you want to. So I'm going to have my band fairly tight. And now I'm going to bring my left arm and my elbow skims my rib cage. And I'm creating a shark's fin and back to center. Now as I bring, we're doing 4 to 6 one side. Elbow tucked into my rib cage, shark fin and back to center. Now as you create your shark fin, feel you're pushing into your right hand, really firing up my deep core muscles. This can be done at plank, by the way, Susie. If you want to progress, can you see I've lengthened out my opposite leg? Pull the belly button to the spine. I'm doing 4 to 6 one side. I'm doing a few more because I want to show you. So once you've done your 4 to 6, come over to the other side. And I've lengthened, and a further progression, you lengthen and lift your leg. Pull your belly button to the spine. And really think about pushing into the palm of that hand. It's amazing how it really fires up your deep core muscles. Can you see what I'm doing? Total stability. When you've done your 4 to 6. This can be done at plank, Susie. Can you see? Try not to rock everywhere. Once you've done your 4 to 6, do your 4 to 6, the other side, with or without the leg. It's your own journey, so you come to your own, you get off at your own bus stop. Elbows tucked into your rib cage, creating a shark spin. Now, if you want to progress, I'm just going to lengthen out that leg, taking a little bit of pressure out my toe. I can really feel that in my deep core muscles already. You might have a weight. So not only am I doing some upper body work, now I'm going to see if I can lengthen and lift that leg. Doesn't matter even if you take a couple of inches off the mat. You can really feel that. That weight can be as heavy, as light as you want. Once you've done your 4 to 6, come over to the other side. Remember, rest whenever you like. I'm going to come straight into that leg lift. Stay at hip height. Lengthen through the joints, don't forget, of that leg. If you get tired, come back down. Now we're just going to make it our final 4 on the other side. See if you can hold it for a couple of seconds. Pull, pull, pull. Total stability. You're balancing that bowl of soup on your lumbar spine. total stability, pulling your belly button to the spine. That's my final one. And everyone, if you can have your knees mat width apart, if it's too uncomfortable, don't do it. Come into a child's pose. If your knees can be mat width apart, it deepens a stretch. If not, glue them together. And I was saying, if it's too uncomfortable to come all the way back like this is puppy dog. So you can see my knees there at a 90-degree angle, but I'm still really stretching the top of my body, puppy dog, if that's too uncomfortable, child's pose. Now, can you just rock your hips from side to side? And can you push your chest into the mat? And this time, put your forehead on your mat. And as you rock from side to side, you just massage your forehead. Just focusing on your breath for a few seconds. Lengthening those arms forward. And then walk your hands over to 10 o'clock. Right hand on left. Really walk those hands forward, push into your heels, push into your chest. Sorry, don't push into your heels, sit on your heels, push into your chest and walk the hands forward. I feel a nice deep stretch down my right side now, really lengthening the arms forward. And then walk over to 12, really lengthening those arms forward. And then walk over to 2, left hand on right. I'm still thinking about walking those hands away so I can feel a deep stretch down my lateral side, pushing into my chest. Remember, this can be done at puppy dog. And for those with sore knees, I do find putting a sort of a nice thick piece of foam underneath my knee really helps. And then we walk back to 12 and curve your spine, squeeze your glutes, come into 4-point kneeling, and we're going to do our open, no we're not, we're going to do our thread the needle. Gosh, all's running out of time. So we started a few minutes late, so pull your belly button to the spine. So we're going to do thread the needle. So my right arm, first of all, with or without a band, it's going to lengthen out to the side, your range of motion. It might be out to the side or up to the ceiling, hip set and stone. Then we lengthen that arm back centre, lengthen that arm back centre. Right arm threads underneath my left, hip set and stone. Push into that left hand. So I'm really rotating my upper spine only. Only if you want to, this is a progression. You can lengthen or lengthen and lift your left leg. Keep those hips nice and flat. Some of you might want to go and swing your left leg out to the side, keeping it nice and straight. As you unthread your right arm out to the side or up to the ceiling, it's your range of motion, squeezing a tennis ball between your shoulder blades. Really opening up your chest and lengthen back to centre with or without the band. Keep that arm lengthened. Lengthen. I'm really feeling that in my waist. We'll do the other side. Left arm threads underneath right. Oh no, that's wrong. Out to the side or up to the ceiling. It's your range of motion. Hip set and stone. Then we lengthen our arm. Thread left arm underneath right. Push into your right hand. Hips don't move, so I'm really trying to rotate my upper spine as much as I can by pushing into my right hand. You can lengthen or lift that right leg. Your leg is a progression. Swing your right leg out to the side. Remember, it's a progression. And you unthread your hand out to the side or up to the ceiling. It's your range of motion. You don't have to use any equipment at all. Opening up your chest, squeezing a tennis ball between your shoulder blades. And lengthen back centre. Pull the belly button spine. Lengthen. Can really feel not only in my shoulders, but I can feel I'm really using my obliques there. Bring your knees back to centre. And we'll just stretch it out. So either roll down on your side if you're feeling a bit tired. Have assistance of your band when you roll down. Level 1, 2 or 3. You know how it works. So if you're too tired, just roll down on your side. Lean back by an inch. But we're just making use of every single second. So we roll down, relax the feet, pull the belly button spine, really squeeze the glutes, and I'm scooping my tailbone under. So that turns my spine into a wheel. Keep those elbows open. Then I hug my knee to my chest, knees to my chest, rock from side to side. And I just grab the band and we just stretch it out. The band comes under the arch of my right foot. Left leg stays bent or lengthened depending on your flexibility. Push into the heel, pull the band band towards you. Feeling a nice stretch in the muscles in the back of your legs. Drop your foot out to the right, to your left. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Now bring your foot back center, squeeze your glutes, pull your belly button spine, melt your rib cage into the mat, and I'm using my paw to bring my foot back center. I don't want to tug on the band too much. To your right arm, shoulders stay glued to the mat. Remember your range of motion, you feel that sweet spot. So if your sweet spot comes about 30, 45 degrees, that's great. So you come to your range of motion. You've got to keep your shoulders on the mat. And lengthen back center, but always try to use those deep core muscles. And we swap over. Right leg bent or lengthened, depending on your flexibility, pushing into your heel. We're dropping our foot out to the left. Again, if your range of motion is 30, 40 degrees, that's great. You feel that sweet spot. If you can come a little bit further, I'm sure over the months you've become more and more flexible. Really lengthen through the shoulder joints. And lengthen back to center. I'm using my deep core muscles to do that. Put the band in my right hand to my left. Just bring your leg to a point that's good for you, because your shoulders need to stay glued to the mat. Really relax. And lengthen back to center. We'll just stretch our piriformis, our glutes. So left ankle on right thigh, hugging your knees to your chest. Really relax that right foot. Feeling a deep stretch in the left glute. If it's really uncomfortable to do that, just hug your knees to your chest. That still stretches your glutes. Really relax that foot. And if you can, we're going to lengthen both legs up to the ceiling, pulling your belly button to the spine, and then right ankle on left thigh, and hug your knee to your chest. Really relax that left foot, hugging your knee to your chest, feeling a deep stretch in the right glute. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Really relax those feet. Feel that stretch. And gently put your feet down as you remove your block and get your ball. And we're going to push into the ball for 8 seconds just to release tension you hold in the head, neck and shoulders. This one's a really great one. Just to, if you feel you've got a really sore neck or shoulders, do this at home. Do it 3 times a day for 8. 3 times a day, 3 times 3 for 8 seconds. So remember the double chin. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, you push. And release. And again, take a breath in. As you breathe out, you push. Double chin. And release. And one more, take a breath in. As you breathe out, you push, double chin. And release. And just gently roll your head from side to side. And just use the ball to deepen the stretch in the muscles in your neck. Really relax your head, and I can really feel I can get a deeper stretch there, rolling from side to side. Again, this is another great one to do a few times a day. Just releases tension you hold in your neck. And just take a breath in as you breathe out. We're going to slowly roll to the side, slowly, slowly. And we're going to come to seated, slowly, slowly. We've been on the floor for a long time, so you don't want to get dizzy. And come onto your block if you can, just to get that nice neutral spine. So we lengthen up, shoulders down our back pockets. We're going to stretch our waist and hips. So we lengthen up. Chest out to the sun, shoulders down your back pockets. Don't bend your arm, keep it nice and lengthened. And I lengthen through the shoulder joint. So I feel a nice deep stretch in the waist there and the hips. Stay weighted on your seat bones. And then I lengthen forward. Look down at the mat, but keep that arm straightened. So I feel a nice deep stretch down one side of my back. Stay weighted on your seat bones. Open your chest again, shoulders down your back pockets. Pull the belly button spine as you come back to center, protects your lumbar spine. Don't bend your arm, keep it nice and lengthened through the shoulder joint. Chest out to the sun, shoulders down your back pocket. Stay weighted on your seat bones. Look down into the mat and lengthen that arm forward, feeling a lovely deep stretch down one side of my back. And open up my chest. Keep lengthened and lengthen back to center. Always pulling your belly button to the spine. For those who've got lumbar spine issues, I want you to step up like this and get up. If you haven't got lumbar spine issues, tuck your toes under, stay down. So I want you to be in Pilates stance, heels glued together, feet out at a 90-degree angle. Push into your heels, tailbone up to the ceiling. Let the top of your body hang, really relax. Scoop your pelvis, pull your belly button spine, let the top of your body hang. We're going to seek out our spine as we restack our spine one vertebrae at a time. And back to standing. We just do a few arm circles. Hip width apart. Legs. Your arms come slightly behind you. Only if you want to, you can come up onto your tiptoes and back down to the soles of your feet. Remember, nice lengthened arms, lengthening through your shoulder joints. Or you might want to stay on your tiptoes. Focus on a point out in front. Keep those arms nice and straight. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Open up your chest. One more. Pulling the belly button to the spine. And back to center.